Brian Moore slams England's discipline and leadership after historic Six Nations defeat to Italy. Former England hooker and outspoken rugby pundit Brian Moore has sharply criticized the discipline and leadership of the England national rugby union team following their historic defeat to the Italy national rugby union team in the Six Nations Championship. England's 23-18 loss in Rome marked a historic low for the Red Rose, as it was the first time in Six Nations history that England have been beaten by Italy. The result not only stunned supporters, but also intensified scrutiny on head coach Steve Borthwick and his squad. For Moore, the defeat highlighted deep-rooted problems within the team, particularly around discipline, decision-making, and leadership under pressure. Historic loss raises serious questions heading into the 2026 Six Nations campaign. England were widely considered one of the contenders for the title. Instead, their campaign has quickly unraveled. The defeat to Italy was England's third consecutive loss in the tournament, a run of form that has left the team languishing near the bottom of the standings. Adding to their concerns is the fact that England's final match of the championship is a daunting trip to face the France national rugby union team in Paris. With France still in contention for the title, England could face another extremely difficult test, potentially ending their campaign with 4 straight defeats. However, Moore believes the problem goes beyond the results themselves. According to him, England's performances have been plagued by basic mistakes and unnecessary penalties, many of them committed by experienced players. The costly discipline in Rome. One of the most damaging aspects of England's defeat to Italy was their lack of discipline. During the match, both England captain Maro Itoje and flanker Sam Underhill were sent to the sin bin, temporarily reducing England's numbers on the field. The Underhill's yellow card created an early momentum shift in the match, giving Italy the opportunity to build pressure and gain confidence. But Moore reserved his strongest criticism for Itoje's yellow card, describing the captain's decision-making as particularly poor. Following the match, Itoje admitted that the incident that led to his yellow card was probably a mistake in hindsight. However, Moore was not satisfied with that explanation that hindsight is an excuse. Writing in his Telegraph column, Moore argued that relying on hindsight was not an acceptable justification for such an error. He pointed out that England were already under pressure after Underhill's earlier offense, and that further ill discipline at such a critical moment was bound to worsen the situation. Moore emphasized that Itoje should have been fully aware of the context in which the incident occurred. Italy had already secured possession of the ball at the time, and although the play was slow, England's defensive line was already organized. According to Moore, this meant there was little justification for Itoje taking the risk that resulted in the penalty and subsequent yellow card, a moment that changed the game. Itoje's sin binning had a major impact on the match. With both Itoje and Underhill off the field, England were temporarily reduced to 13 players, leaving them severely exposed. For Italy, the opportunity was obvious. The numerical advantage boosted the Azzurri's confidence and allowed them to push harder for victory. Moore believes the moment effectively handed Italy the momentum they needed to close out the match. He also noted that Itoje should have been particularly cautious because a similar incident had occurred only minutes earlier. Italy hooker Giacomo Nicotera had already been penalized for knocking the ball from the hands of England's scrum half Ben Spencer in a comparable situation. Given that example, Moore argued that Itoje should have recognized the risk of committing the same offense. Instead, the England captain made what Moore described as a dumb decision that proved costly for his team. That England's growing discipline problem, the yellow card against Italy, was not an isolated incident. Discipline has been a persistent problem for England throughout the Six Nations campaign. That by the time of the defeat in Rome, England had accumulated 7 yellow cards in the tournament, significantly more than their rivals. In comparison, Ireland national rugby union team had received just 2 yellow cards. France national rugby union team had also been shown 2. Scotland national rugby union team had 2. Italy themselves had only 3 for Moore. The statistics underline how costly England's indiscipline has been. He noted that Itoje alone has been responsible for 2 of England's yellow cards, further intensifying the criticism of his leadership. Moore argued that the team's repeated errors point to problems that should not exist at the international level. In his view, The mistakes being made by England are so basic that they would frustrate even youth coaches. Leadership concerns within the squad beyond discipline. Moore believes England are struggling with a lack of leadership on the field. Rugby teams often rely on experienced players to guide the group through difficult moments during matches. However, Moore questioned whether England currently have enough strong voices capable of stepping up in those situations. That he highlighted the absence of several players traditionally regarded as influential leaders within the squad. Among them are Ellis Genge, Jamie George, George Ford. Without these figures directing the team during crucial phases of the match, Moore suggested that England appear to struggle when the pressure increases. He believes the remaining players must now take greater responsibility for managing the game and making smarter decisions on the field, a problem that won't go away. Moore also expressed frustration that the issue of leadership has been repeatedly discussed throughout England's campaign. In his view, the topic has become almost monotonous, yet it remains unresolved. Despite ongoing conversations about leadership roles and decision-making within the team, England continue to make the same costly mistakes. Moore warned that unless the team addresses these problems quickly, their struggles are likely to continue. The challenge ahead with a trip to Paris looming, England have little time to regroup. Facing a powerful French side on home soil is never easy, and Moore believes England will need a significant improvement if they are to avoid another defeat. Beyond tactical adjustments, he believes the team must show greater discipline and stronger leadership. Without those qualities, England risk repeating the same errors that have undermined their Six Nations campaign so far. For Moore, the message is clear. England must fix their discipline and develop stronger leadership on the field, or their problems will only deepen.